Calvin. Read the title. Out loud. Speak up.
Above the line thinking and goals.
2024, right? Above the line thinking and goals 2024. The first three above the line behaviors are intentional, purposeful, and skillful. The parentheses, those are those little marks around the words. Explain it simply. It tells you what that really means. So intentional, what that means is meaning to do something. You're doing something because you meant to. I had a soccer coach back in the day. It was actually his son was saying, this always stuck with me. I didn't know what it meant as a kid. I do now. But he did something wrong. I don't remember what it was. And he said, but I didn't mean to. And that coach said, mean not to. Mean not to clasp. That's intentional. Mean not to clasp when you're on top. Okay? Those types of things. Mean not to start before the whistle blows and get a caution. So, being intentional means meaning to do something. You're meaning to do it. Okay? Purposeful is knowing why you're doing something. Knowing your why. Why am I doing it? And with wrestling, we're trying to help you figure that out. Some of you don't know, and that's okay. There is a lot of people not here that started the first day. And part of it could be because they don't know why people do this stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy to put yourself through this much pain on a daily basis, right? I'm not going to go into the why because I could literally talk for hours about it. And skillful, getting better at doing something. Now, specifically, I left this broad because it can apply to anything. It can apply to fishing. I love fishing. This applies to fishing. Okay? It can apply to golf. But specifically with wrestling, building skill is what we come here to practice. We build skill by what? What do we build skill by doing, Ballard? Repetition. What's another word for doing something over and over? What am I doing when I'm practicing? Drilling? Drilling. The word drill means repetition, over and over, to build skill, right? So those three words, and then you can branch off of each of those words and teach a whole class, a whole university on how to build skill in wrestling. That's what our YouTube videos are, right? Skill builds will.
Skill builds will builds confidence.
I knew he was good for it. Repetition builds skill. Skill builds will builds confidence. So that's what we do when we practice. Now, those are all above the line thinking. That's what we do to raise the bar, to get better at doing anything that we want to do. I had to do that today for myself. That's why I came dressed in my work clothes. I didn't have time to go home and change. My wife had to meet me here. I was intentional about that. I called her, said, honey, I think I'm going to be late. Can you please meet me with my wrestling clothes? I didn't wait till the very end to get here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have my wrestling shoes. I guess I'm going to have to wrestle in my suit. No, I was intentional. And I have built skill over many years of being married to know how to speak to her, to get that, to get what I want. She was very nice and did it happily. I was like, all right, I'm a good husband, finally. Now, below the line, autopilot, doing things the same way and not changing. Okay? I'm missing some parentheses because of how quickly I did this at the end of my workday. So don't judge me. But all of the basics are there. Okay? Doing things the same way and not changing. That's why we get so upset when you walk in practice and you start farting around. That's why about a month into it, I started ripping you guys pretty hard. Because you're not doing anything different. We've asked you over and over. And you just come in and you get on autopilot. You don't think about anything. You just start throwing the ball, start grab-assing, and eventually, that's how you get hurt. You set the tone for that's how your practice is going to be. No. I tried to help give you things to be intentional. When you get in the room, stretch. When you get in the room, drill something specifically, right? You guys are children. You have to be taught these things. Most adults have to be taught these things. Okay? Don't be on autopilot. Don't just wake up and, oh, what am I going to do today? I don't know. I guess I might brush my teeth. I might go to school. When I get to school, I might pay attention. I might do my homework. That's on autopilot. It's literally not being coachable. It's not learning from your mistakes. That's what autopilot is. Okay? You guys know what autopilot actually is? You hit a button on your car or in a plane, and you don't have to drive anymore. So basically, autopilot is you're not driving, you're not steering. Something else is steering for you. Doesn't matter if you're headed towards a mountain, you're going towards a mountain. You're not correcting your course to keep from crashing. Okay? Don't be on autopilot. It doesn't work. Especially with wrestling. Impulsive. Don't think before acting. That's what that means. That means you're not thinking before you're acting. Impulsive. Okay? So, an example would be, somebody give me an example. I told you this was going to be interactive. What? Give me an example. In school, you're in the middle of a lesson, the teacher's talking, and you shout out. Okay? You don't raise your hand when they've asked you 1,000 times to raise your hand. No, you just shout out the answer. Right? That's impulsive. You're not really thinking about it. One more example. It doesn't have to be wrestling, it could be anything. Not thinking before you say something, just saying it to your mom, for instance. Right? She asks you to clean your room, and you say something very hateful and nasty, even though you should be very grateful and thankful and loving to her every second of your day because she birthed you and has raised you. You probably don't deserve it. Right? So that's being impulsive. Resistant to change. So resistant, that word resistant, you're below the line behavior, being resistant. That really means you're resisting change. So, Briggs, you're wrestling in a match, and you're in a dogfight, and I'm screaming and yelling, put in a wizard, because he's on a single leg and he's taking you down twice. And you don't know what a wizard is because you walk in every day and you're on autopilot. You don't drill it because you're not being skillful. You're being on autopilot and you're being resistant to coaching. So you don't do it. And then when I pull you off the match and I talk to you about it, you're not listening. And not only that, but you're blaming the ref. So that is being resistant. That's being resistant to help, to coaching, okay, to getting better. So that is below the line. All right? Now, E plus R equals O. You guys see this? Everybody follow along. I want you to be able to explain this to your parents. The event, E is bold, because that's the E in the equation. Now, I realize when I watch the video, this is why watching film is so important, whether you're speaking to kids or you're wrestling. Because when I watched the video of the last thing, I realized I didn't really explain what an equation is. You guys might not know that. Let me do that. 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's an equation. You take one factor plus another, and you get an answer. 3 minus 2 equals 1. Okay, good. Mx plus b equals, oh, you haven't taken algebra yet. Sorry. It's y or something like that. But my point is that there is an equation. To get the thing you want, so I told you guys, the event plus your response equals an outcome. You cannot control the event. You can control your response to get what you want. The outcome is what you want. That's what it is. This outcome. I have an outcome over here. This is what I want. I want new wrestling shoes for Christmas. What am I going to do to get that? I got to put it on my list to Santa and send it to the North Pole. That's what I got to do. If you don't do that, you're not going to get wrestling shoes. Right? So, there's a lot of things that you want. You got to figure out how to get them. And in wrestling, it's even more important. I want to win a match. Okay, there's a lot that you got to focus on. And I had a talk with a wrestler after one of their matches, and if they want to, they can raise their hand if they remember it. And we had to talk about not blaming a ref because they were upset and they weren't happy with what happened, and they immediately went to, the ref should have done this. This guy was doing this. And I said, hold on, whoa, no. No BCD. That's at the bottom. No BCD. Right now you're blaming, you're complaining about what happened, and you're defending your position. Basically, when you make a mistake, you're defending yourself instead of learning from it. We don't do that because we don't get better. We don't get better when we do that. Luckily, I pressed pause, and so did the wrestler, and we said, let's talk about this when you're ready. And he came to me, and I was very proud of him. We talked about it. And hopefully you guys, the more you focus on the other things that you can't control, the worse you're going to be. You're never going to get good. You're never, ever, ever going to be what you can. You're going to hit a ceiling. Some of you guys have a lot of God-given talents. You're just good, right? Easton Berryman has a lot of God-given talent for a 6-year-old. But if you don't get better and better every year, kids you're beating now are going to beat you. Okay? You can't just stop. So, anyway, I can talk about this for a long time, but I wanted to help you really understand what this stuff means and give you and your parents something, a guide, to go off of. Okay? Now flip it over. Flip it over. If you're going to districts, I've sent a message to your parents. I expect you to fill this out. Now, if you're not going to districts, that's okay. But I still would like for you to fill it out. But if you're going to districts, it's expected. You guys know what expected means?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't, there's a video. Your parents can tell you what it means. But we want you to do it. 3 goals. When you write goals down, you have to write things that you're going to do to get the goals. So the first is 3 goals that you have for this season. It could be, and it's got to be realistic. You can't say, I'm going to go find Jordan Burroughs and call him up and beat him. No, it's not realistic. Sorry. Nobody in this room is going to beat Jordan Burroughs, except for maybe me. But I probably can't. I'd have to train for a long time. Maybe never. Probably never. But you got to have a realistic goal. So if you're a first-year wrestler, maybe your goal is to just get to the state tournament. Maybe it's to just get there. Maybe it's to win 1 match at districts. Maybe it's to win 2 matches at districts. Maybe it's to be a state champion. Okay? But you need to write 3 goals for the season. Could be to not get pinned. Maybe you got pinned every match this season. My goal is to make it through 1 match and not get pinned. Okay? 3 things. And then 3 things you can do to help achieve those goals. If your goal is to not get pinned, what are you going to do? Instead of coming in before practice and playing dodgeball or whatever it is that we play, I'm going to work on my back arches over and over. I'm going to bridge. Work on my bridges. I'm going to do 50 of them before I go to bed every night. I'm going to do 10 pull-ups a night. I'm going to do 20 push-ups. It can be physical. It can be things like I'm going to come to practice and work on my attitude. All right? So then, same thing for long-term goals with wrestling. And maybe you don't have any. If you don't, that's fine. If you have no idea if you're even going to wrestle next year, just put a question mark. But if you do, I want to wrestle for Staley one day. I want to wrestle for MU one day. I want to be in the Olympics one day. Write it down. There is no unrealistic part there. You dream as big as you want. Okay? And then, in life, what do you want in life? You want to be a professional fisherman? I used to be one day. I settled for Thursday nights at Smithville. But hey, I'm a wrestling coach. Makes up for it. So, what are your long-term goals you want in life? And then what are you going to do to get those? Okay, just start small. If you want to be an actor in Hollywood, probably like study acting or watch a lot of movies or be in debate or forensics, stuff like that. Okay? But the point is, I want you to just think about how to get something, figure out what I want, and how to work into it by setting goals and then being above the line to achieve those goals. Okay? Now, I know I'm a little longer than normal right now, but this is important. This weekend, we wrestled okay, but we were overarchingly a little out of shape, and we need to build mental toughness, period. Period. So, I hope that when you turn on the switch to go to practice today, you're ready to blow out your lungs, exhaust yourself 2 or 3 times in the practice, and you are focused on getting better. Okay? Alright. When we break, go put this in your bag. Coach Hughes is going to make every kid that leaves this on the mat do 100 push-ups. Okay? So, go put it in your bag. When you get home, you give it to your parent. And listen to me, by the end of the week, by Friday, I want to see these goals. You don't have to bring them back. Keep them, post them on your mirror. Your goals are to do nothing unless you post them right here. I have goals posted in my office. I have them on my bathroom mirror. Okay? I have goals posted everywhere. Whenever I find myself not feeling very good about myself, I look around and I realize I haven't posted any goals anywhere. So post them. But your parents are going to take a picture and they're going to put it in our team app. Okay? Your wrestling districts, and you don't have one of these in there, I might not put you in the lineup. I might just forget to submit your submission. Because that's how important it is. Okay? I will take 2 questions. What?